So by the time this is posted, Mother's Day would have already passed. And I just feel like it's really apt for us to talk about the decline in birth rate that literally the entire world is facing, not just specific countries, because I think it's really important. And I think a lot of people don't really take it as seriously as it is. It's probably the biggest problem that we will face as humanity if it continues down this path. So I just want to talk about that a little bit because I see a lot of people attribute this to the economy or to the state of the world or things like that. And I don't think any of those really hold the top spot. I think the reason for the decline in birth rate everywhere is really very simple. And we're just going to talk about that. So let's run the intro. There's no intro. Let's get into it. Hi. Hola. Bonjour. What's up? Welcome to episode 4. Can you believe it? Episode 4 of the Apology Podcast. If you're new here, thank you so much for tuning in. This is just a podcast where we talk about things that impact us as adults, as new adults. And if you're a returning listener, I love you more than life. Thank you so much for staying with me. Episode 4. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot to me. Welcome to episode 4. So yeah, today's topic, like I said, is just going to be talking about the decline in birth rate. Let's just start with the reason before I even dive into the different factors that contribute to this reason. The reason for the decline in the birth rate is very simple. People just aren't having sex anymore. They aren't. Hear me out, because I know everybody's horny and all that shit. Okay, chill out. Let me get my point across before you comment. Okay? I know it seems like I said in my last episode as well, that our generation is overly lustful. I don't think so. I think we talk about sex a lot because we're not having any sex. Okay? Not as much, not any sex, but not as much as I think the generations before us were having. And there's a lot of things that contribute to that. I think people just aren't really having sex that much. So contraceptives and the economy and all that stuff, people been fucking when they're poor. Okay, poor people been having kids. Okay, that's not the economy. Okay, whatever, sure. The state of the world, please, people were having kids during slavery. Okay, when has the world been in a worse state than that? The state of the world is the state of the world. None of those things bring forth life into this world. Aside from artificial insemination, IVF, and those things, very expensive methods, by the way, the most popular way that life is brought forward is through sexual intercourse. If no more life is being brought, then it is because there is no more sex. I think it's so simple. I think it's so, sometimes when you guys be yapping, I think, and I be yapping too, okay? I mean, exhibit C, right? But I think sometimes when you guys be talking, you just be talking to top because you're not thinking the economy doesn't bring forth life. Not that when they have money, they don't want to reproduce more, but reproduction comes down to a sperm cell fertilizing an egg. That's it. There's nothing else that goes into the process, right? So I think that when you're thinking about why sperms aren't fertilizing a lot of eggs these days, you got to think about the process that's bringing forth that, okay? And then now I see governments are taking up this habit of reducing availability to contraception. I think that is so stupid. I think that's really, really dumb. All you're doing is just putting people in these dangerous situations. If somebody doesn't want to have a kid, we are in the time period now where they are not going to have that child. You have given us freedom of choice. You have given us autonomy over our body, over our minds, over our paths. You cannot take that away. People will find a way. The only thing you're doing now is making people find dangerous ways, illegal ways to do these things. Hello, why are we going backwards? We cannot go backwards in trying to fix a problem. Okay, we need to adapt and figure out what's going on now. So I want to talk about the reasons why I think people aren't having sex as much as they used to. So I think it comes down to a couple factors. Obviously, there could be more. Please let me know what you think in the comments, in my DMs, whatever. I love when you guys tell me how you feel about the topic as well. So I think that phone addiction, autonomy, choice, education, and health. I think those are the 4 main things why people aren't having as much sex anymore. And I'm not talking about protected versus unprotected sex. I'm talking about sex, period. Okay. Also, over here on this podcast, there are no prudish terms. There's no topic that's too outlandish, that's too crazy. No, we don't do that over here. So if you think sex is this holier than thou act, this sacred act, it is sacred. That's not what I mean. If you think that sex is this topic that is taboo, this is not the place for you. Because I think it's a very normal, natural thing. I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. I don't think it's anything to be weird about. We need to discuss sex more and all that stuff. And there'll be a lot of times on this podcast where I speak about that. So just to give you a little heads up in case this topic's kind of iffy for you. Okay? Come back when you're ready. Right? Okay. So those are the reasons why I think people aren't having sex. So first of all, phone addiction. I don't think enough attention is being given to phone addiction. I don't think people are taking it as seriously as they need to. These organizations, Meta, X, whatever the hell else are out there that manages social media and stuff, they need to be forced to regulate these apps. They need to fucking kick us off these apps after a certain amount of time. The feeds need to end. Something needs to be done about the fact that everyone is addicted to their fucking phone screen. And it gets worse as they put everything on a phone. But that's a topic for another day. I won't get into that. Let me tell you how I think phone addiction affects our sex lives. So other than the large amount of time that passes when one is doom scrolling, I'm talking hours upon hours upon hours. Are you supposed to cut your doom scrolling in half to go have sex? I don't know. You could, I guess. I don't know. Other than the time, I think that this addiction that we have to our phones have seriously affected our ability to connect with each other. And sex is about connection, right? I don't know. There are people out there who can have casual sex. Shout out to you, babe. I can't. There has to be some form of emotional connection there for me. And in order to build emotional connection, we need to be able to communicate as people. Okay. Our phones have made us a lot more antisocial, even though it seems like we are more social. It's made us a lot more antisocial because nobody wants to talk to anyone in person anymore, really. Like, people will see me on the street and wait till they get home to DM me and say, hey, I saw you today. I was right there. Come say hi. What am I gonna do? Bite you? This is the kind of thing. And it's not about being scared to come talk to somebody. It's literally just it's like we don't know how to. We literally don't know how to. You go downtown or you go out with your friends to a bar, to the club, whatever. You and your friends are there chilling. There's a bunch of guys that are looking at you and they're looking at your friends. And in the past, like back in the day, they would come up and everybody would party together, but no, they wait till they go home. Maybe they find your Instagram, tell you they saw at a party, you were hot. No, they have the most to say over DMs. You cannot catch me that way. That's like one thing too that I think that people just aren't talking to each other anymore. They aren't connecting with each other anymore. Therefore, less sex is being had. Back in the day when we didn't have phones, or when they didn't have phones, because I'm kind of in the generation that saw the rise in phones. But obviously I wasn't old when there was no phones, right? So back in the day, the previous generation, when they wanted to get with somebody, you had to figure out a way to talk to them. You had to figure out a way to open your mouth and talk to somebody. And it doesn't matter what you think, you will always be more connected to someone when you are speaking to them in person. When you are looking at that person's face and hearing their voice and talking to them, it'll always be a lot easier for you to connect, a lot better. The connection will be stronger, right? So you're on your phone all the time. Nobody really knows how to talk to each other in person anymore to build that kind of connection that will lead to sex or will make someone want to have sex with you. And I feel like because of the state of the world, no, it is what it is. Nobody wants to change. Nobody wants to get better. Nobody wants to try being more social anymore. Nothing. It's just about adapting. So that's one thing. I think phone addiction is just hindering our ability to connect with each other, and therefore also hindering us getting into bed with each other, because we're not connecting, because we're not feeling for each other, we're not feeling the vibe. There's no tension there or nothing because we're not talking to each other. That's one reason why I think that sex isn't being had. So the next one, autonomy. I think that autonomy is probably the biggest one that makes us not have sex as much anymore. And I think there's so much about autonomy that is keeping us from having sex. So just to start, like, simply, obviously a lot of women are just opting not to because this is what a lot of men want, and it gives us some power over our body to withhold that, or maybe we just don't want to because it's just not worth it. And I think that the state of romance in the world right now as well is in a pretty sucky place. When I think about The Materialist, which is a movie that came out, I think it was last year. I think it was last year, with Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, and Pedro Pascal. And I think about that movie. If that movie came out in the 2000s, it would have been a smash hit. But no, it came out and all people were doing was kind of scrutinizing the fact that she went with the guy that didn't have any money because they're thinking about her well-being. And the movie did a very great job at portraying the stressor of being not financially stable with the person that you're with, right? And a lot of people are highlighting that instead of swooning over the fact that she went with the true love instead of the sensible choice, right? So I think that's a pretty good example of the state of romance today. So thanks to feminism, truly thanks to feminism, I will never respect a woman out there that bashes feminism, even the radical ones right now. If you're one of those girls that are like, oh, modern day feminism, da 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 da, click off right now. Let me give you a minute. Not giving you nothing. Excuse. So, thanks to feminism, we have choices, right? We don't depend on men anymore, so we don't have to succumb to what they want, which is sex 9 times out of 10. So we don't always have to give them what they want because we can survive by ourselves. And the word no is just respected a lot more today than it was before. And that's because there's a lot of consequences to the word no now, regardless of if you're in a relationship, if you guys were on a date, if you guys are even married, like all of that stuff. Rape is rape, right? So the word no is a lot more respected. We have a lot more choice over the way we choose to live our lives. A lot of women are dreaming now. They're having goals, they're having dreams, and they're opting maybe to not have a child while they pursue those dreams. A lot of women are also more educated about, and this is another point, like education, is a lot of women are now a lot more educated about pregnancy. There's a girl going around on TikTok with a whole list, and although I don't really like that because I kind of feel like it's fear mongering, it's also fair. FAIR, it's fair to spread that for people to know. Even though a lot of women may not experience a lot of those symptoms on there, it's still good. Like knowledge is always power, right? So yeah, we're a lot more educated about that. We're a lot more educated about our bodies. So we're able to go around this world knowing a little bit more and not so much depending on men to educate us and depending on them to regulate what we know and what we don't know, right? So that's a good thing as well. A lot of women are also choosing not to have sex. Like abstinence, celibacy is a big topic right now. And a lot of women are just choosing not to for whatever reason they determine. And well, I don't know if women are more disciplined. I think so, but I don't know. So I think it's a lot easier for us to get through that. Although, you know, we are biologically powered to want to have sex for about a week a month, um, which is the week that we're fertile. So that says something, you know. You know how I seen this tweet, or not a tweet, but like it was a post or whatever. And it was like, do you know how fucked up you've got to be to get an animal to not want to reproduce? Like, this is literally a natural thing. This is such a natural thing. Like, during ovulation and stuff, your body literally one purpose, one thing on your mind: go get laid, bro. Go get, like, it's a biological impulse. Do you know how screwed up and how crazy things have to be for you to be able to even be able to ignore a biological impulse for months, for years? It's really, really crazy. And that just goes to show that there's a bigger problem here when it comes to sex. Like it's such a huge problem, the fact that we aren't having sex as much anymore. I feel like a lot of women are just like kind of deciding that sex also isn't worth it. Again, a lot of choices are being made here, whereas in the past there wasn't very many options for choices. Yeah, it's a different world now. No, the other thing too that I think is also not talked about that much is health as well. You are pumping our food full of preservatives. Do you expect that not to have an effect on our body at all, on our reproductive system whatsoever? People are not taking care of their health, like the food is unhealthy, pumped full of hormones. Do you expect that not to fuck with our hormones? I'm real confused here. The responsibility to repair the birth rate cannot just fall to the birth givers. It cannot just fall to the mothers. It cannot be women's responsibility that the birth rate is dying, and it cannot be on us to repair it. And quite frankly, I don't care. Like, I care in that I understand the severity of if this trend continues, but I'm not gonna fix it. I'm not going to fix this at the expense of my joy, right? So I don't have a child, okay? I am not with child. I am 26 years old. And in the past, that seemed like a really crazy age to not have a kid, right? Not even one. But for me, there are a lot of reasons why I don't have a child. And I feel like when I turned 25, I was like, okay, when I get to 30, I'll start having kids. No, I turned 26. I'm like, maybe 32. And it keeps going up because there's just so much more of life to live, and there's so much more that I want to do. There's a lot of goals that I want to accomplish. Not that you can't accomplish goals with kids. We see women do that every day, but it's significantly harder. And if I don't need to put myself in a more difficult position, I'm not going to, right? Do I want to be a mother one day? Of course. I absolutely would love to have kids one day, but I value my happiness and my pleasure and my joy and all of that stuff. I value those things a lot. And at the moment right now, I love my life and I don't necessarily wish to change it. You may say I'm selfish. Maybe I am selfish. That's just what it is. A lot of women are seeing that there is more to life than just becoming a mother, despite what, you know, the world has preached to us nonstop since the beginning of time. I think a lot of women are just seeing that there's more to life. They're realizing their capabilities, realizing their worth, how much society needs them. And that's just what it is. You know, we have the option now to do that, and as we should, and we're choosing. Also, I think it's really funny that for, you know, most of existence, society has kind of treated women like less than, treated us badly, taken away our rights, constantly make us feel inadequate, constantly make us feel like we're just machines meant to pump out babies, meant to do this, meant to get married, meant to please men. And now, as humanity is threatened to, be eradicated because of a decline in birth rate, now you realize how important we are. A man can shoot sperm till he's blue in the face. A load can contain 1 million sperm cells all at once. If that egg doesn't let one of those sperm cells in, it will not fertilize. We run the show, Women run the show from conception. Do your research. I know the whole thing is like, oh, it's the sperm that becomes the kid. Da, 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 da. And it's not first come, first serve either. That's another misconception about conception. The egg chooses the best possible sperm. So a lot of them can reach, a lot of sperms can get to the egg first, but that shell remains rock hard, remains impenetrable until it finds the perfect possible sperm. We run the show, and I think it's so funny how society, how men have made it a big point to make women feel like second-class citizens, and then it's like, no, we actually need you. We need you to put yourself through hell for 9 months, to be uncomfortable, to change your body, to change your biological makeup, to change your mind, because that shit screws with your head till the end of time. So let's get you to fuck with your entire being so that humanity doesn't die out, because now we need you. Oh, you know what I need? $10 million. That's what the fuck I need. Who's gonna give me that? That's what I need. You know what I need? Some peace and quiet. You know what I need? A proper man who's not gonna mistreat me. That's what I need. Where am I gonna get it? Okay, I don't see that. So yeah, my womb's on shutdown. Okay, I'm getting kind of silly. So let's stop the laughing. This is a serious matter. It is a serious matter, but is it though? Is it though? First of all, okay, like I said, I really do understand the ramifications of a decline in birth rates. I really, really do. I do understand the severity of it and how bad it is for the future generations. But I'm not gonna experience the consequences of it. I'll be long gone. I'm gonna be dead. I'm gonna be long dead before I experience that. It's a couple generations, So it's like, do I really care? I mean, okay, it is our responsibility to take care of each other, I guess. But I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not spreading up on my legs for this. Like, no, 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 no. I'm not putting myself through that to fix your birth rate while I suffer. No, even though I did say that contraceptives and the economy and the state of the world, I don't think they're the top reasons. And I don't. I think the top reason is that people don't learn anymore, right? So even though I said like I didn't think that, I do think that they do impact it though. Why would I want to have a whole nother person to take care of when I can barely take care of myself with what y'all are paying me? Why would I do that? I don't know. I don't think I want to do that. I don't know. You guys let me know. So the economy absolutely does matter. Even places that have good economy are suffering from a decline in birth rate. So regardless of that, I think even though we are able to fight against our biological urges, I think when they kick in and when they are working, we can succumb to them. We have no issue succumbing to them. Like for example, when you're in a happy relationship and even though you weren't planning on having a child, when that child comes in and you realize that child was conceived through love and that child will be raised in love, it's pretty hard for you to not want to have that child. I think the big issue is that people we just aren't having as much sex. We're not bored enough. We are not living with men like, we usually are. A lot of women that I know live by themselves. A lot of men that I know live by themselves. We're just not living together like we used to in the past. There's just so much going on. I think everyone's wires are just so fucking fried from staring at our phones all day, from going to work at a dead-end job, from constantly feeling like you cannot get a leg up, whether that is financially or romantically. Like everyone's just so fucking fried. Who wants to lay down and have sex? Yeah, I mean, it's sex, right? It isn't a burger from the port. Guys, there's a restaurant in Pickering in Ontario, Canada. There's a restaurant named The Port. They have a chicken burger. If eating that meant conception, I'd have had 20 kids by now. Happily. I would have been so happy. I would go back every time, bro. I'd go back every time to go eat that damn burger. Well, it was a chicken burger. It was so, so good. Next time I go back to Canada, it is the first thing I'm purchasing. So yeah, it's just sex. And there's so many options now for pleasing yourself, right? That doesn't require you going to another person. Self-pleasure is so popular now and it's not shamed. Well, not as much. It's not shamed as much anymore amongst women. A lot of women are just opting to do that. Get a quick nut off and then go back to doing whatever you want to do. Now, is that sad? I don't think it's sad. I think it's just the state of the world with regards to what I just said regarding it's just sex, I do kind of want to talk about that in a whole different episode though, because I feel like sex in today's world sucks for a specific reason. So, to the governments out there, to the government officials out there who are stressing about the fact that your nation is going to die in a couple generations because the birth rate is declining, get people to have more sex. Find a way. Find a way. I don't know, babe. I don't know how you're gonna get the world to be more horny. I don't know how you're gonna get a country to be more horny, but you just gotta, yeah, you gotta in some way just get people to want to do that act more, because that is the only thing that is going to produce children for you. That's the only thing. I just think we need to have a worldwide orgy. Yeah, you got to get your people to have more sex, bro. I have nothing else for you. I don't think that reducing contraception or reducing education, like you just don't have as much control over us like you did in the past in different generations. You didn't have as much control. People can know whatever they want to know. Even if they don't want to know it, they can know it. People have choices. Women are realizing that, hey, no, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't nut me. Also, there's also like education regarding your cycle more. Like that's for me, anyways. I feel like there's a lot more education around your cycle, so you're better able to track your cycle and better able to know when you are fertile versus not fertile. It goes back to education and stuff. There's just so many factors that are, stopping people from fucking. It's really plain and really, I think it's really simple. If you want your birth rate to go up, people need to have more sex. And I think it's really funny in this generation. That's the problem, where it seems like we are the overly lustful, overly sexual generation. But I dead ass think that we talk about sex so much because we don't have it a lot. Tell me, for the people who don't live together, like for the people who are in relationships that don't live together, how often do you guys have sex? Seriously. And who's moving in with a man? Girl, bro, I don't even know how I would move in with somebody even if I get married. Like, how the hell am I supposed to share a house with somebody when I've been living alone for all this time? I fucking love it. Why would I and why do I need to? Like, I literally don't have to. We could get married and we can live in separate places. This is the kind of mentality that's slowing the fucking birth rate, bro. Because deadass, I feel like that. I love my space. To sacrifice my space to share with a man because why I love him? All right, I guess. Sure. So the birth rate's going to continue to decline unless humanity wise up. Unless y'all listen to this podcast where I tell you how to fall back in love and how to have good sex, which probably won't be next week's episode, maybe the week after that, because I already have what I want to talk about next week. But maybe if you would come and listen to me, you would kind of hear why I think sex sucks today and how to get it back on track. So, for the government out there who are watching this, if you want to send this to your government official, tell them that in about a couple episodes, they should live stream my podcast where I talk about how to make sex desirable and pleasurable again. You could stream that to your whole country, and then I promise you, watch the birth rate. Boom. In conclusion, I think that the decline in the birth rate is largely due to the fact that people just are not having as much sex anymore. And I think a decline in our libido also is a result of the types of food we're eating that's fucking up all parts of our body, our minds, and all that stuff. Also due to our phone addictions, doom scrolling, the inability to build connection with others, due to the fact that we have education now. We know a lot about the cost of reproduction and what it does to our bodies. And I think also autonomy, choice. That's what I think. I hope I got my point across. I hope you guys took it seriously. And I mean, I don't really think there's much that we can do in regards to this. I don't have any advice to give you to go forward because I personally don't really care if the birth rate booms or not booms. While I can appreciate that it's a serious problem, I think that these are just the seeds you've sown and they've reaped now. So go live your life, have sex, don't have sex, who cares? Do you? Cherish yourself, cherish your bodies, cherish your ability, know what you're worth. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I love to know what you guys think. Don't forget, you can also listen to this when you're cooking, when you're eating, when you're having sex on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please don't listen to me while you're fucking. Shit, I don't care. You can do that. Autonomy, choice. Okay, guys. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I love you, and I will see you next week.